Yes, Priya.
Yeah, you had asked me something on the WhatsApp. Can you repeat that? So like it can also help other people out.
Just a second. They were two to three things. I'll just check what were they.
करो बस एक सेकंड ना, ये स्टार्ट हो जाए। हाँ, हो गया।
Yeah, so they were GK related doubts. One, I was asking that we see a lot compendiums may India's relations with other countries. So
Yeah.
is it important like relations with New Zealand, Australia, ये सब?
Um, like
And also the major things in other countries such as new PM of Canada and all.
see, so the answer to the first question ki what about India's relations with major countries ऐसे तो yes जो major countries हैं उनके साथ it's very important जैसे इस बार around India UK is going to be very important because of the trade deal and everything so
Hmm.
that is important India US is always important so it's better to know all this and also like focus on India NATO इंडिया सार्क ऐसी ऐसी चीजें सार्क क्या है क्योंकि जैसे मेरे टाइम में भी वन क्वेश्चन जो लास्ट उसकी सार्क मतलब सार्क की मेंबरशिप क्या है विच आर द फॉलोइंग कंट्रीज नॉट अ पार्ट ऑफ द सार्क ऑर्गेनाइजेशन so they do like such questions. So it's better to know the major objective things. So like, some major India UK things. When like when was any major treaty signed? Um, Prime Minister's meeting or like bilateral treaties or anything of that sorts. So that would make sense. Um, उनको याद
Okay.
रखना नाउ कमिंग ऑन टू द सेकंड क्वेश्चन लाइक ऐसे मेजर चेंजेस लाइक पीएम प्रेसिडेंट बनना सो यस स्पेशली फॉर रिलेट परस्पेक्टिव इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्योंकि दे हैव अ हैबिट ऑफ आस्किंग कि रिसेंटली अब कौन बनना जैसे दे हैड 2 years repeatedly asked that मतलब one question related to the prime minister of New Zealand even in my year they asked this question so yes they do ask such questions so it's good to know जो भी major countries हैं it's like not more than 20 Bangladesh, US, India, sorry, India तो खुद ही है, but Bangladesh, US, Canada, Mexico, थोड़ी थोड़ी ऐसी countries, so उनके president, prime ministers, it makes sense to know that. Also know the capitals of countries, क्योंकि like it's not much of a hassle to know this, but it's just that it gives you an edge if you know it, right? So बहुत सारी countries जितनों के capital याद कर सकते हो जितनों के president, that's very important. Like जैसे a question there, like what is the name of the Philippines leader currently? So if anyone knows the answer, by the way, anyone, and like why is it important? Anyone who knows who's the leader of Philippines currently?
Marco something. I don't remember
Yeah.
the first name.
He's a very funny name, Bong Bong Marcos. But yes, why is it important, Niti?
Recently, India, Philippines, I think, signed a deal together.
Yeah, because he even came to India, so
Yeah.
all that makes it important. So yes, it's more like it makes sense to know all this. Um, but yeah, so again, I just reiterate the ones who can turn on their videos, please do that. It would be helpful. Um, and now on to like the
One
last
more thing,
one now.
Bhaiya.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Are numbers like budget and trade statistics important? Because I saw it only once in a CLAT previous year paper. I think it was 22 or 23, I don't remember. But उसके अलावा नहीं देखा. But yeah, एक बार है. And if yes, तो किस टाइप के numbers पे focus करना चाहिए?
As far as I remember, it was a 23 paper जिसमें they had asked about trade का value, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yes, so I remember एक केस सेट का पहला क्वेश्चन था ये सो हाँ मतलब इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट टू नो अब जैसे इंडिया यूके के नंबर्स जानना इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्योंकि अगेन BIT हैज बीन साइंड एंड मतलब इट्स वेरी मच इन न्यूज़ तो इसलिए वो सब जानना इज इम्पोर्टेंट But obviously, these numbers, like they usually don't give, क्योंकि these numbers differ. 8.3 billion somewhere, 8.4 billion somewhere. So they are usually, they fight shy of giving such numbers. But जो major जो news में बार बार repeat हो रहे हैं, maybe go after them, have a rough idea. But yes, they also मतलब try not to give such questions. Plus जब देते भी हैं तो options are very wide. तो अगर even if you have like थोड़ा सा से idea, थोड़ा common sense यूज करके कर सकते हो यार इतना तो ट्रेड नहीं होगा 12 बिलियन तो नहीं होगा उससे ज़्यादा होगा ऐसे ऐसी चीज़ें तो थोड़ा सोच सकते हो उस वे में बट यस जस्ट हैव लाइक इससे यार जैसे कि जब मतलब एडिटोरियल बस अच्छे से पढ़ो तो, और न्यूज़पेपर अच्छे से पढ़ो, आई मीन उसमें रिपीट होती रहती हैं चीज़ें, तो दीज आर नॉट समथिंग विच यू कैन लाइक ऐसे प्रिपेयर फॉर। ये बस यू कम अक्रॉस एंड पेपर में याद रह जाता है। सो दैट इज द अप्रोच टू गो विद देम। मेक सेंस?
Yeah, all right, perfect.
ओके, परफेक्ट। एनी अदर क्वेश्चंस बिफोर वी बिगिन? नो issues, just man. But yes, any other questions for today? Okay. Now, like, just addressing one important thing. Get that given is just how many days left till that? Anyone? Any exact? Like, what's the exact number?
33.
23.
No, 33.
33. Okay. Hmm. So, yeah, it's almost the last month, just 3 days left. So, trust me, this is like the most important part of the whole preparation. Because there'll be people who have been doing like very like preparing since 2 years, doing very very well for good 23 months of the preparation. But in the last month, they start messing up. They start taking things like बहुत ज़्यादा दिल पे. They मतलब they just overemphasize things, so that can mess up a lot of things, and unka 23 months of preparation just goes to it. While there would be certain people who have not worked very hard till now, but they now start working hard and then they get like very decent ranks and they're like confident. So it's very essential that like you stay very calm in this month. Second, just focus on current affairs revision and nothing else now, because nothing else is left much to do, right? So just do that, and like give limited number of mocks. Don't give difficult mocks, like the most importantly. Give reasonable mocks now. Like अब बस कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्डिंग पे ज़्यादा फोकस करना एज कम्पेयर टू कि अपने आप को रिलेटिवली बेटर वगैरह करना। एंड यस, लाइक इफ यू हैव लाइक कॉन्फिडेंस ऑन दैट डे, योर परफॉर्मेंस कैन, you know, the expected rank, if you were supposed to get a rank of 200, if you're very confident, it won't be surprising if you end up in like top 10 to 20 rank as well. So because now it's just about confidence. So isliye just focus on things which keeps your confidence high. So yeah. But yeah, now finally, before we begin, any questions that you guys might have with relation to anything? And yeah, Dishita noted, it's completely fine. Um, yeah, anyone who has any questions? Anyone? Okay, seeing none, we'll just move directly to the paper. But before beginning, like, how did you guys like the mock? Matlab, what was your idea of the mock? Was it difficult? How you felt during the mock? Can anyone share? Guys, anyone? Sandhya, you might want to share something. Mhm. Yeah,
Am I audible?
yeah, you're audible.
Okay, like my laptop has hanged, so I don't know if my mic is working or not.
No
But
issues.
in general, like, yeah, it was the usual long, lengthy paper that it always is. But like somehow, how should I explain this thing? इतना accuracy गड़बड़ नहीं गया, but somehow मैं irritate हो गई थी बीच मॉक में कि क्या है ये, मतलब थोड़ा जीके देख के I was fine कि passage में आंसर्स हैं, but it somehow made me irritated. But फिर then I calmed myself कि ठीक है मॉक ही है and कर लेते हैं. But then हाँ मतलब ठीक था, it was lengthy actually. I feel like अगर बहुत सारे passages मैंने skim read करे थे, ढंग से पढ़ती तो थोड़े जो गलत हुए थे वो नहीं होते, but उस टाइम पे फिर टाइम भी एक constraint था.
Makes sense. And like, what irritated you? The fact that answers were in थोड़े-थोड़े in passages, या फिर कि
नहीं मतलब इट वाज कि मतलब मैं लीगल में आई है ना, मैंने देखा कि पैसेज भी बहुत लंबे हैं एंड देन फिर उसमें क्वेश्चंस भी बहुत ज्यादा बड़े बड़े हैं एंड पूरा ही पेपर बहुत बड़ा था, तो वो
हम्म
फिर आई फेल्ट लाइक कि एंड दो दो पेजेस के पैसेजेस थे, तो इट समहाउ ये पहला ऐसा लेंदी पेपर था जिसे मैं देख के इरिटेट हो गई थी, वरना वैसे यूजुअली आई डोंट गेट, बट आई गेस थोड़ा मुझे एक था भी कि नवंबर आ गया है तो आई डिडंट एक्सपेक्टेड सच अ पेपर.
हम्म so yes, the whole point is कि genuinely, like when even I was preparing, I used to ensure this key. I put myself in the most uncomfortable positions with regards to the paper. I would give it in uncomfortable situations like घर में बीच में बैठ के जब आई नो कि मेरी मम्मी और मेरी मेड के बीच में लड़ाई हो रही है और वो पूरा चिल्ला चिल्ला वगैरह रहे हैं एंड उसके बीच में हाउ टू स्टे फोकस्ड ड्यूरिंग द एग्जाम गिविंग लेंदी मॉक्स राइट बट व्हाट आई लर्न फ्रॉम ऑल दिस वाज कि मतलब वन थिंग विच आई हैड लाइक दिस इज लाइक अ रूल दैट आई हैड कि देखो आई एम नॉट हियर टू स्कोर 120 आउट ऑफ 120 ऑल आई नीड टू डू इज बेटर देन अदर्स how will I do that? By staying calm and जैसा पेपर है अब if it is lengthy it's not that it's lengthy only for me right it's lengthy for each and every person so the best approach in such questions such papers is कि manage कि जितना ज़्यादा attempts कर पाओ और yes you have to skim read and essentially 2 pages का passage पढ़ना is not possible in the mock the only skill then that gets tested is you go through those 6 questions, 4, 6 questions. You see कि हाँ क्या क्या वो लग रहा है. फिर you just read the passage very specific to those 4, 5 questions, right? And trust me, this is a skill which will help you in law school as well. क्योंकि essentially what you have to do is you get 180 pages of judgment. Judgment ka 180 pages. Now, if I give you an example, there's this case Ashok Hurra versus Rupa Hurra. So it's like a divorce petition sorts case. But it was in a constitutional law class. So वो 180 पेज की जजमेंट में से it was relevant 3, 4 pages. How do you figure that out? That is one skill which I believe I practiced during CLAT वाला time. That was just key to know my way around the passage. To understand क्या intro, conclusion क्या कैसे वो होगा. तो इसलिए like what I used to do is skim each and every passage पहले ऊपर से and just see कि ठीक है क्या ये इतना essential लग रहा है. Look at the key terms there. If then I would take a conscious decision कि हाँ ये पढ़ लेते हैं either because I know कि यहाँ से डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन आ रहा है या बिकॉज आई नो कि शायद कुछ फ्लो बनाने में हेल्प कर सकता है इफ दैट पैसेज इज फुलफिलिंग नाइदर ऑफ दोज पर्पसेस आई वुड स्किप इट एंड देन आई वुड जस्ट गो टू द क्वेश्चन डायरेक्टली सो द होल आइडिया इज कि इफ यू आर प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर सच अ पेपर एंड इफ यू आर नॉट गेटिंग इरिटेटेड ड्यूरिंग दिस पेपर then when the real paper comes it will genuinely look like a cakewalk मतलब इफ यू आर रेडी विद दिस लेवल कि तुम एक एक पेज के पैसेजेस पढ़ सकते हो आराम से और तुम्हें फिर दिखता है कि क्लैट दे रहा है 2.5 पेज मतलब सॉरी 1.5 या 0.25 का मतलब पैसेज तो इट वुड जेन्युइनली ट्रस्ट मी इट लुक सो इजी एंड दैट वुड जस्ट बूस्ट अप योर कॉन्फिडेंस सो दिस वाज लाइक द होल आइडिया of giving such a mock and yeah the whole thing which gets like the whole point is key to make you cognizant of certain things which you might not be cognizant of इट्स पॉसिबल कि हाँ क्लैट इतना लेंदी ना है बट ये हो सकता है कि दे माइट गिव सम अदर थिंग विच माइट इरिटेट यू फॉर मी इट वाज नॉट गिविंग नॉट आस्किंग करंट अफेयर्स राइट इट इरिटेटेड मी had I given even one mock in which passages the अंदर were answers are there then maybe I would not have gotten irritated and I would have been prepared for that eventuality and I would have done better so the whole idea is key to give you like to put you in an uncomfortable position and just to check your skill key you don't get irritated and that's the whole thing so yes but how much like what how do you assess the मतलब sections like legal was difficult ये सब ऐसे you're on mute
Am I audible now? भैया नहीं वर्क कर रहा.
yeah guys sorry there's some internet issue I'll just turn on my video yeah am I audible and visible can someone confirm that
Yes, Bhaiya.
perfect so yes Sandhya you were saying कि how do you assess the sections legal logical English you're on mute yeah
Am I audible? Am I audible now? हाँ,
yeah
ठीक है. So I found legal a little tough. I would say कुछ मतलब पहला वाला जैसे passage था. It was जो मैंने पढ़ा नहीं था and I missed it also.
you the first let me just share the screen as well just give me a
हाँ.
minute so yeah yeah my screen is visible Guys, can someone confirm?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So, yes.
Also, Bhaiya, can we expect the level of difficulty of passages like these were relatively difficult in their vocabulary and everything? Can we expect कि CLAT passages का भी ये level हो सकता है और ALET का?
Yeah, देखो A-Late for sure. A-Late has like the whole idea is कि you need to be prepared for anything and everything. मतलब you never know कि अब कैसे वो they might set the paper. It is very much possible that they might start a new trend this year कि बहुत difficult papers बना रहे हैं. क्योंकि ये मेजर एग्जाम्स में फोकस दिखा है कि जैसे पहले कुछ साल पहले फिर रिमेम्बर लास्ट ईयर नीट में बहुत ज़्यादा वो हुआ था कि इजी पेपर वो बना दिया. नाउ दे मेड वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट पेपर्स एवर. तो दिस कीप्स हैपनिंग इन सच नेशनल लेवल एग्जाम्स. जब भी जेई वगैरह का लेवल बोला है कि बहुत इजी हो गया, अगले साल उन्होंने बहुत डिफिकल्ट पेपर दिया है. तो इट इज़ पॉसिबल कि अब 2 साल से आ रहा है कि यार मतलब हमारे ईयर में तो एटलीस्ट इतना ह्यू एंड क्राई नहीं हुआ था. लास्ट ईयर बहुत ज़्यादा ह्यू एंड क्राई हुआ है, केसेस तक गए हैं, रैंक्स दोबारा निकालनी पड़ी, ये सब हुआ है. तो इट इज़ एक्सपेक्टेड कि यार हाँ दे माइट अप द लेवल. सो and irrespective, like making, like if you're prepared for difficult mocks, then easy mocks will not be an issue. So that's the whole point, right? So yes, but prepare for anything, I'll just say that. Make sense, Niti?
Yes, Bhaiya.
Yep. And Sandhya, you were saying.
Yes, Bhaiya. So, like when I skimmed through the paper, I did
Hmm.
find legal a little tough. So, while I usually start with legal, in this paper I did not. I started with logical because like somehow it gave me a hint कि हाँ ये हो जाएगा अभी at this point, and वो हो भी गया था through skim reading. So,
Hmm.
but then in legal I did passages जिनके बारे में मुझे prior info थी थोड़ी बहुत.
Hmm.
जैसे first passage I had no prior info, and that's why I guess I just attempted two. Yeah, I attempted two questions only. I had no prior info. बाकी सब मैं did attempt fairly enough. हाँ. So
Okay.
that was
Makes
it.
sense.
English also, I guess English was also fine for me. जीके भी
Hmm.
हाँ जीके पैसेज से ही थी तो वो ठीक ही था. एंड बाकी कौन सा आई गेस कौन सा मैं अटेम्प्ट कर सकता. आई जस्ट अटेम्प्टेड 7 क्वेश्चंस. आई थिंक मैं उससे ज़्यादा कर सकती थी अगर मैं कहीं और पे थोड़ा वो करती, बट देन वो बस 7 ही क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट हुए बाद में.
But said that's also decent.
हम्म.
Any other person would like to share how they went about the mock? And then I'll share what I would have done. Anyone? Guys, anyone? Okay. Seeing none, we'll just go on to no, go on to this. So देखो, the whole point is कि when I would have looked at the mock, एक तो ये है कि a lot of people have such set strategies कि I'll start with English, then I'll go to current, then I'll go to logical, then I'll go to legal, then I'll do maths. And irrespective of how the paper is, they do the same thing. It might work in your favor अगर English easy है ये सब है. But the मेन रूल एंड प्लस ऐसे लोगों को एलिट में बहुत दिक्कत है जहाँ सेक्शन का इतना ऐसे डिवीजन नहीं है. सो द मेन आइडिया इज कि तुम्हें यू हैव टू गो फॉर द इजीएस्ट लाइक द लो हैंगिंग फ्रूट्स द फर्स्ट, राइट? Has anyone seen those videos which have been doing rounds on internet which are like there are a bunch of cones or something kept in a line, and then there are two people and they have two different approaches. One goes to the farthest one first and then comes, the other one takes like the closest one and then takes that. Has anyone seen that videos?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is exactly what you have to do in that. Um, and which strategy wins, by the way? Anyone? Guys, okay, so the strategy of taking the closest one, sorry, the last one first and then the closer one wins. The whole idea is ki you need to plan out such things ki, the things which would essentially be easier, that you do first. Reason is ki, मतलब because two things. A, you do not know how lengthy the paper is. ठीक है कि कितने ही क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट कर पाओगे. B, even if you know how lengthy, like even if you know that you will be able to complete the paper, in the beginning you need confidence क्योंकि तुम नया नया पेपर शुरू कर रहे हो. May it be any person, right? even for that matter, AIR ones, like जो top digit rank है ये सब, they also need confidence. They just do not have like inbuilt confidence कि हाँ हमसे तो हो ही जाएगा. They need to look at the paper, acclimatize themselves, be confident with it. That only happens जब तुम थोड़े कुछ क्वेश्चन बहुत इजी इजी पहले सॉल्व कर दो, थोड़ा थोड़ा तुम्हारा ऐसे कॉन्फिडेंस बनना शुरू होता है कि ठीक है. मतलब इट्स लाइक going into a lake or something. You just first put your foot into it, and then धीरे धीरे you acclimatize yourself. अब अगर तुम एकदम से जंप मार दोगे बहुत ज़्यादा डीप वाली जगह पर, देन यू माइट ड्राउन. सो द होल आइडिया इज कि yes, you need to do the easier things first. Now, how do you identify the easier things? Easier things में there are two things, right? One is smaller passages. Number two is how am I like familiar with it. So just to give an example, how familiar, मतलब जैसे अब जैसे संध्या mentioned कि she went with those legal passages that she had an information about. That's the correct strategy to go about. That go after those questions which you have a very good knowledge about. Secondly, go after those things which interest you as well. Third, so if you guys look at this passage 4, can you see this passage? Anyone? Everyone?
यस भैया.
Yeah. So does it seem interesting?
हाँ
Yes.
भैया.
Yeah. So देखो, if you are interested in say politics, reading a politics passage you will take maybe 2 minutes. While if the topic is science which you are like not that good at, you will take 4 minutes to complete same difficulty, same length का passage. So this just shows कि like it depends upon interest a lot. So go after interesting things, go after things that you already know, go after things that are smaller. So the most objective way to look at it is सबसे पहले ढूंढो कि smaller कौन सा है. तो I would have just skimmed through the paper for a minute कि हाँ मैं देखता यार English is lengthy, it's like very lengthy. ठीक है. Then I would have seen this कि यार इसमें पॉइंट्स कुछ लिखे हुए हैं और थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सा लग रहा है. इंटर्नशिप, फेस्ट एंड फुटनोट्स, डुअलिटी ऑफ एनएलयू कल्चर, कुछ एनएलयू रिलेटेड. एनएलयू इज समथिंग दैट हाँ मेरे को बढ़िया लगता है, मतलब कि जाना भी है वहाँ पे. तो ठीक है, ये इंटरेस्टिंग सा पैसेज लग रहा है, इसको देख लेंगे. देन आई लुक एट करंट अफेयर्स, देन आई सी कि मतलब हाँ करंट अफेयर्स के थोड़े थोड़े पैसेजेस में लग रहे हैं आंसर्स, राइट. तो दैट इज देयर, बीइंग अवेयर ऑफ दैट फैक्ट एज वेल. देन गोइंग टू लीगल रीजनिंग, देन आई वुड सी कि हाँ यार लीगल इज वेरी वेरी लेंथी, ऑप्शंस आर ऑल्सो लेंथी. मतलब the whole paper is in general अब तक legal and English I am aware कि it's very lengthy. Then like I would go to logical and look at that, and logical also I see कि it's lengthy, but relatively it seems it's like less lengthy, right? um मतलब that's just the vibe that I might get at first. But given that इसमें almost all three seem of an equal length, then I would have taken the choice of going with the section that I'm much more comfortable with, or like the place where I see key options are easier to figure out. So that is something which like I would have also maybe started off with logical, क्योंकि ऐसे questions दिख रहे हैं, right? अब 95th वाला guys, like what do you think कि मतलब ऐसे questions देख के I'm getting attracted to attempting this passage first? Any ideas? Anyone?
These are more or less like literary and English based, तो हम लोग खुद भी आंसर कर सकते हैं अगर I
Hmm.
mean ये थोड़ा सा जनरल हो जाता है.
So close to that, Niti, but basically idea is मेरे को इस क्वेश्चन को करने के लिए पैसेज पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है,
या
राइट.
एग्जैक्टली हम मेटाफोरिकल वे में भी आंसर कर सकते हैं उसको.
हाँ क्योंकि इसमें वो लाइन गिवन है ना, दैट्स व्हाई आई कैन नॉट have the privilege of not reading the passage. Which of the following assumption underlines the author's statement that the city reads its citizens as much as they inhabit it? So basically I have a line, then I have to tell कि हाँ इसमें assumption कौन सी है ये सब. तो ऐसे क्वेश्चन में क्या होता है कि बेसिकली मेरे को पैसेज पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, तो इट बिकम्स ईजियर फॉर मी. सो व्हाट आई वुड एसेंशियली डू इज कि I would maybe yes start off with logical. Maybe go with the passage that I find most interesting. I guess ये TikTok वगैरह कुछ लग रहा है तो बढ़िया सा लग रहा है, तो I would have done this पहले, right? इसमें भी बट आई वुड नॉट जस्ट ब्लाइंडली गो विद दिस कि यार मैं पहले पैसेज पढ़ता हूँ फिर मैं ऑप्शंस पढ़ता हूँ, देन आई एम then I'm done with it, right? But what I would do is I would first read the questions. So, guys, what do you do when you read the questions? Like, what do you figure out here? Anyone? Guys, anyone? Well, just tell me how you read a passage. Do you go through the questions first, or do you read the passage first? What do you?
The questions first and questions में the part like the ऐसा word जो हमें बताए कि passage में से क्या ढूंढना है, like in question 86 I would focus more on the contemporary fashion, the words contemporary fashion of that question, so I know what to search for in the passage, and since this is long I wouldn't read pura, I would just search for the word contemporary fashion and read that part of the passage and answer that question.
Perfect. Yes. So what I would do is two things. Firstly, identify if there is any question which can be answered without referring to the passage. जैसे 89th, right? Which of the following assumption underlines the author's claim that to where is to be known, past and predicted. So अब this is अब कुछ भी पैसेज कहे एक लाइन मेरे को मिल गई इसमें assumption बताना है. तो अब this is something which is just between like easier to do, right? So maybe like I would to even do this कि जब मेरे को पता है I'm sure, तो I would like go through the options, have a assess मतलब I might even mark the option right in here, मतलब without going through the passage when I know कि exactly line से ही आ रहा है, कुछ change नहीं होने वाला, मतलब even after reading the वो. So I would do that 89th first, right? Then I would, yes, go after the key terms, discussion of TikTok, micro epochs. That is one word which I'll have to find. अब author central argument ठीक है, और एक बार मैं I'll just go through that. Fashion has become a technologically integrated data driven system. थोड़ा थोड़ा पढ़ते हैं. Algorithms tools completely replace creative direction, completely replace, okay. Social feedback alone governs outcomes. Sustainability rhetoric primarily disguises labor exploitation. So अब देखो, like just by looking at the options, there are certain conclusions that I can draw. Um, like, can anyone help me find those things? मतलब in general, अगर बस ये option पढ़ने हो, तो is there something that you can draw from just reading this without reading the passage? Anything? Guys, these are the tricks which genuinely help you out in your real paper. मतलब I know कि knowledge वगैरह सब, but genuinely ये tricks बहुत ज़्यादा help करते हैं. That's why we have kept this session. So please engage as much as you can. So yeah, can you find any trick or like anything that you can see in these four options?
I mean, you could, first thing I'd do is probably rule out all the extremer ones where like
Yeah.
completely replace or alone governs will be like the
परफेक्ट,
first
एग्जैक्टली
two.
दैट इज व्हाट आई वांटेड यू टू हाईलाइट कि बी और सी मुझे दिख रहा है कि नहीं होगा. इट्स अ वेरी एक्सट्रीम थिंग, अलोन, कंप्लीटली रिप्लेस, मतलब वेरी अनप्रॉबेबल के आंसर्स हो सकते हैं. तो बी और सी एलिमिनेट हो गए रफली. एंड देन आई कैन सी कि ए और डी में से एक ऑप्शन है. देन आई कैन जस्ट सी फैशन हैज बिकम टेक्नोलॉजिकली इंटीग्रेटेड. Sustainability rhetoric primarily disguises labor exploitation, serving as the sole argumentative focus of the passage's critique. अभी थोड़ा एक्सट्रीम तो लग ही रहा है, तो मेरे को एक लग ही रहा है कि सी सीम्स मच मोर ए सीम्स मच मोर प्रोबेबल. बट स्टिल जस्ट टू बी श्योर आई विल नॉट मार्क इट राइट नाउ बट गो थ्रू इट. बट एक रफ आइडिया है, तो अब जब व्हेन आई कम बैक टू द पैसेज आई विल नॉट रेफर टू बी एंड सी, आई जस्ट रेफर टू डी एंड ए, राइट? तो दैट्स देयर. फिर इसमें विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इफ ट्रू would most likely undermine the author assumption. अब अगेन दिस इज अनदर थिंग which I do not need to refer to the passage, so I might even do 87 then and there. The author's discussion of aesthetic singularity. Okay, I now have two. What I've gotten is two questions I would have marked already, क्योंकि वो बिल्कुल डायरेक्ट पैसेज से थे. एक का मेरे को एक रफ आंसर ऑलरेडी मिल चुका है, और दो मेरे पास की टर्म्स है. नाउ दिस इज द मोस्ट जुडिशियस यूज ऑफ माई 1 minute इन विच आई वुड हैव जस्ट रेड द ऑप्शंस, जिसमें बेसिकली आई नो कि दो क्वेश्चन एग्जैक्टली सॉल्व करने के लिए मुझे इस पैसेज में क्या पढ़ना है. आई नो कि दो क्वेश्चन तो मैं ऑलरेडी सॉल्व कर चुका हूँ. आई नो कि एक मेरे को ऑलमोस्ट आई एम वेरी मच क्लोज टू द आंसर, बस मेरे को जल्दी से स्किम रीड करना है. तो दिस जस्ट शोज मी आई शुड नॉट बी गिविंग मोर देन 2 minutes टू दिस पैसेज एंड आई शुड बी डन विद एवरीथिंग. सो नाउ लाइक डज इट मेक सेंस गाइस?
Yes,
Guys,
भैया.
Yeah.
so yes, this is how you went like go through questions. अब now also I'll not directly go into the passage because like not that smart of an idea. I would see if any of these terms are written there, just say epoch and aesthetic singularity, right? So जो ऐसे highlighted है, ठीक है, अगर हाईलाइटेड का भी मिल जाए तो उसमें देख लो, जैसे एस्थेटिक अफेक्शन सीम्स क्लोज टू द एस्थेटिक वो, तो आई माइट जस्ट मतलब नो कि ये वाले पैसेज पे थोड़ा ज़्यादा फोकस करना है। एंड यस, मैं थोड़ा देखता हूँ कि अगर डायरेक्टली कुछ मिल जाए एस्थेटिक सिमिलैरिटी का, एकदम ही एग्जैक्ट वर्ड लिखा हुआ है वो एकदम पढ़ के कर दूँ। बट चलो ठीक है, सिंगुलैरिटी का इट डज नॉट सीम पॉसिबल इन दिस वन, बट yes, just look out for it अगर ऐसा हो। Then I'll just read the passage, right? um and this is like a lot of skimming, trust me, it's like very like a lot of skimming. And this is where like those students who have genuinely worked hard show their mettle, like the ones who have like good reading speeds, good skimming speeds, they will get an like edge. So you do that. So essentially then you just read the passage, try to find out these two terms. अब जैसे while reading it I would maybe come across this TikTok fuel micro epochs. नाउ यहाँ तक मोस्ट ऑफ मैं बस वो बहुत जल्दी स्किम कर रहा हूँ कि क्या आइडिया है। देन आई वुड जस्ट गो टू दिस राइट, दिस पैसेज, एंड आई वुड बी वेरी केयरफुल मे बी फ्रॉम दिस वन माइट इवन, एंड स्किम जब करो तो इट्स फाइन इफ इवन इफ यू हैव टू रिपीट द पैसेज, री रीड अ पैसेज टू अंडरस्टैंड इट एक बार अच्छे से। So yes, so moreover, interpretation of fashion within the larger apparatus of surveillance capitalism introduces yet another dimension of semiotic exhaustion, smart variables augmented with LADR mapping, location triangulation, psycho-emotional sensing, do not merely record data, they operationalize it, translating mood into merchandise and anxiety into apparel. One's body becomes an API and dressing a form of algorithm consent. To where is to be known, powered and predicted. Now, again, इसी same passage से I found another main thing which I had to find, right? So, uh, okay. मतलब I have an idea कि क्या यहाँ पे give one of the options talk about it. And then this. In this regime of hyperfunctionality, even the notion of trend collapses under the pressure of temporal uh, simultaneity. The velocity of fashion cycles, one tied to the metronomic rhythm of spring, summer, and autumn, winter, now operate at the frantic tempo of TikTok-fueled micro epochs. Here, half-life of a look is shorter than that of a tweet, and archival reverence collapses in real-time retrofuturism. Can anyone explain me this passage? This. Anyone would like to attempt? Guys, anyone? Vrinda, would you like to give it a try?
Sure, Bhaiya. Just a second.
Sure.
Um, so for this passage, I had actually read the questions first and then I went on to the passage. So, like for this question, I think I had quite um not skimmed that section, but I'll just um find that in my mock. Voila.
Sure, sure.
We're talking about passage two, right?
Passage one of the logical.
Okay. Mm, Yeah, they're talking about that these smart variables that are
Hmm.
augmented with some LIDAR mapping and location triangulation. They do not merely record data but translate mood into merchandise, means they are actually using the data to they're actually using the data for some
Hmm.
purpose. That
Yes,
is,
makes sense. So yes, that's the whole idea that basically these technologies have become so smart कि once you wear them, you are giving an algorithmic consent कि तुम्हारे जो जैसे emotions ये सब, those are read and those are used. So that
yeah.
is the whole idea in this, right? अब इसको पढ़ के I can easily answer this one. Which are the following assumption? No, not this one. Sorry. Yeah. Uh, uh, um. Where's that option question? I mean. This one. Which of the following assumption underlines the author's claim that where is to be known, past, and predicted? Um, like, I have a better idea as well of this. Although this is like one thing which I could have marked उधर, but हाँ, now looking back at it, it seems थोड़ा कि passage पता होना चाहिए तभी mark कर सकते हो. But yes, so this consumers consistently trade privacy for personalization, accepting granular tracking in exchange for tailored fashion experiences. Okay. Government mandate comprehensive data sharing from variable forms, centralizing citizen intelligence. Government का कहीं कुछ example अगर नहीं था, B definitely not. C, smart variables routinely capture linkable personal data, enabling identification. Yeah, very neutral and very nice option. Brands design variables chiefly to monitor. See, D is eliminated because the word chiefly is used. B is obviously eliminated. A and C, so I know for a fact I'm attempting this question. Now, consumers consistently trade privacy for personalization, accepting granular tracking in exchange for tailored fashion experiences. Now, tailored fashion experiences is not something which is mentioned exactly here. The whole idea is that whatever we wear, these watches and everything, these are like they use our data, right? And secondly, consumers making a like conscious choice, like consistently trade privacy. It's like it the passage doesn't make it seem like in a very choice wala way. It's more of ki how companies are doing it. So A seems like a riskier option, especially when I have such a sweet and like nice option with nothing wrong. Right. So ideally option C should be the answer. If someone could also confirm what the answer to this question is.
It's C only, भैया.
Yeah. So it makes sense. Like क्योंकि relatively easier option and like non-deniable option, right? When so see that's why A is like thoda difficult to go with and C is much more easier. But the whole idea is, yes, let's just return this as well. The passage discussions of TikTok fueled micro epochs in fashion suggest which are the following paradoxes. Rapid fashion tempos paradoxically generate greener supply chains, enhancing sustainability through shorter. Okay, this is something which is definitely not mentioned, right? Sustainability or something, it's not even touched in the मतलब line, right? So ये तो नहीं, ये तो नहीं है. Abbreviated trend lifespans help subcultures guard exclusivity, reducing mainstream appropriation of distinctive name. This also shows it in a positive light while the focus is on in a negative way. By the way, anyone can explain me this passage कि क्या ही लिखा है in this regime of hyperfunctionality? Anyone?
भैया, I actually had a doubt.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a doubt, but it's like I just want to confirm whether I eliminated option A in the 89th question the right way.
Okay.
Because for this option, I actually eliminated because, as you said, it's talking in a positive way about whatever is being discussed in the passage, that is in a negative way.
We're talking about 89 or 90?
I'm talking about 89.
Okay, okay, okay. 89. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so the A option is in a positive light, and but the entire passage is thoda sa negative about
Hmm.
whatever they're talking
Hmm.
about. So is that also a correct reasoning why A should be eliminated, apart from the reasoning that you gave?
Like I get the vibe wala thing. मतलब honestly, this is how you solve questions as well, ki positive, negative vibe. But I'll say ki, Vrinda, like why this approach is slightly wrong is because A is not positive for sure. Consumers consistently trade privacy. Now see, when a passage is using such a terminology, trade privacy, right? It has to have a negative connotation. There is not a nice way in which you can say trade privacy. If you have to say the same thing,
Oh, okay, okay.
right, you would use
Actually,
better words, reasonable restriction on privacy or something of that sort. But then whenever
yeah.
such a word is used, trade privacy, it can never be like positive, positive. And it is
Yeah,
a negative sense only.
actually
Hmm.
missed actually that the entire sense of that first part of the option. I considered wo last wala in
Hmm.
exchange for tailored
Yes.
fashion experiences.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes
makes
sense.
sense. Okay.
And honestly, this is what you need to understand. मतलब ऐसे questions when CLAT वगैरह में भी you need to take into consideration पूरे question को, पूरे option को, not just a part of it.
Yeah,
So,
वैसे तो I had eliminated with the first reasoning that you said, but since
yeah,
you were
makes
talking
sense.
about the 90th question, so that just clicked.
Not an issue. That's completely fine to ask this question, but yes. And also, one other thing which reminds me, I'm reminded of कि basically यार trade privacy वगैरह जब ऐसे कुछ terms used हो ना, so be wary and get a sense कि negative है positive है. तो lot of times तो I would do this कि जब option समझ में नहीं आता I would just go यार ये positive लग रहा है, ये भी positive लग रहा है, ये भी positive है, एक ही negative है और passage इस चीज को negative में देख रहा है. तो नेगेटिव। कई बार ऐसे ही ऑप्शन एलिमिनेट हो जाते थे और आंसर आ जाता था, ज्यादा दिमाग नहीं लगाना पड़ता था। और कई बार नहीं जब समझ में आ रहा पैसेज तो तुम्हें थोड़े ऐसे साइड ट्रिक्स यूज करनी पड़ती हैं। तो जस्ट बी अवेयर ऑफ दैट। सो या,
Okay.
मेक सेंस?
Okay. Thank you so much.
नो वरीज। या सो नाउ ऑन टू बैक टू दिस। अब देखो, रैपिड फैक्शन टेम्पोस पैराडॉक्स जनरेट ग्रीननेस अप्लाइज पॉजिटिव वे में बात कर रहा है? नहीं। abbreviated lifespan health subcultures guard exclusivity, again positive nahi. We have to talk in a negative sense. Digital platforms now narrow exposure to innovation, limiting audiences encounters with genuinely experienced and emerging fashion. Negative hai seems fine, but let's look at the other options, but because not the exactly the thing that it wants to capture. Accelerating cycles compress distinctiveness, making discrete trends harder to sustain as novelty rapidly self erodes. So yes, these two are like relatively negative है, तो I cannot use the simple trick कि हाँ negative मतलब positive वाले option वो सब कुछ. But yes, this like थोड़ा like we have to read it. So yes, digital platforms narrow exposure to innovation, limiting audiences encounter with genuinely experimental. So hmm. So yes, okay, makes sense. I believe option D should be the correct answer here. Like this is what I think. What's the answer? Wait, let me also
D
check.
only. It's D
D
only.
only, right? Yeah, makes sense. Can anyone guess as to why option D and not C? Anyone? Okay, anyone guys, like just take a shoot कि क्यों हो सकता है? Take a guess if you want to. Okay guys, so simple answer is कि यार ये थोड़ा सा misses the point. Digital platform narrow exposure to innovation. Like, firstly, where are we talking about innovation? थोड़ा सा off सा, मतलब थोड़ा alien सा वो लग रहा है. Limiting audiences encounters with genuinely experimental emerging fashion. प्लस अगर इसको आप बहुत टेक्निक उसमें भी देखो, व्हाट डज इट से कि यार पहले फैशन वाज अबाउट विंटर्स में ये पहनो, समर्स में ये पहनो, लॉन्ग सीजन ये सब. नाउ व्हाट इज फैशन? व्हाट माय फेवरेट टिकटॉकर इज वेयरिंग. बट डजंट दैट एट टाइम्स लीड टू मोर genuine and like emerging fashion? मतलब क्योंकि now anyone can choose what is fashion rather than some set stars deciding, so that adds to innovation. So essentially C is like off the point. D is correct, accelerating cycles. मतलब the whole idea is कि पहले cycles were season based, now it is TikToker based. So cycles have become faster and all that. Compressed distinctiveness, making discrete trends higher to sustain as novelty rapidly self erodes. So, like the whole idea is to just see thoda misses the point, in my opinion, and that's how I would have figured that out. But yeah, like make sense, guys?
Yes,
Everyone.
भैया.
Yes,
Yes,
भैया.
भैया.
But yes, so this is majorly how you solve a logic ऐसे बड़े बड़े passages. अब देखो इतने बड़े passage में roughly तुम्हें बस इतना ही पढ़ना था. और हाँ, एक और क्वेश्चन को अटेम्प्ट करने के लिए थोड़ा एक वाइब आनी चाहिए थी थोड़ी. तो बट एसेंशली पूरे पैसेज में से पूरा इतना ही है. क्लाड भी क्योंकि ध्यान रखता है, अगर कोई बहुत बड़े पैसेजेस आ जाए, क्वेश्चन विल मेजरली बी फ्रॉम लाइक अ वेरी स्मॉल पार्ट. तो एंड दिस लाइक द 80-20 रूल एज वेल. इन एनीथिंग 20% विल लीड टू 80% ऑफ द रिजल्ट. सो जस्ट नो कि यार हर पैसेज में ना, हर, क्योंकि दैट्स द वे यू गो अबाउट दिस, कि हर पैसेज में मेरे को 20% पढ़ना है जिससे मेरी 80 क्वेश्चन सही हो जाए. क्योंकि दिस वे आई बी एबल टू अटेम्प्ट four more passages than others can, which will essentially mean कि हाँ, I have a higher accuracy and I have a better score. So the way to score better in these exams is to like read very selectively and be very conscious about what you're reading in such long, lengthy papers. So yes, that's the whole idea. And this is similarly how you go with English, right? And like legal has a different way which we'll discuss अभी. But the whole idea is कि that's how you go about it, right? कि मतलब थोड़ा focusing on passages which are easier, and हर passage का हर question इसमें attempt करना important नहीं है. Maybe you can leave certain questions. So yes, that's the idea. अब जैसे this passage, It is neither fanciful nor non-inflated nationalism to assert that India, long fettered by chimerical shadows of colonial extraction and bureaucratic inertia, now stands at the principle of a ground and irreversible metamorphosis. This is a very difficult passage. इसमें अगर दो तीन क्वेश्चन भी ठीक हो जाए दैट्स गुड इनफ, नहीं अटेम्प्ट करना पूरा। राइट, इसमें बस वाइब पर ही आंसर कर सकते हो, पूरा ऐसे डीप में नहीं जा पाओगे। सो यू हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ दैट। इसको इसको अगर कोई ज्यादा टाइम दे देगा तो एक तो उसका कॉन्फिडेंस डाउन होगा, ऊपर से नहीं बनता सेंस, आपको बहुत कम ही पढ़ना होगा। सो यस, एंड ऑल्सो एलेट वगैरह में वेरी प्रॉबेबल कि किसी पैसेज में 8 क्वेश्चन पूछे हैं, किसी में दो, तो गो फॉर द 8 क्वेश्चन फर्स्ट, 2 क्वेश्चन लेटर। तो ये थोड़ी थोड़ी चीजें जो ध्यान रखने में, ट्रस्ट मी, यही है जो फर्क बनाती हैं और कुछ भी नहीं है। तो लाइक इट्स एसेंशियली वेरी सिंपल पेपर, क्लैट इन नेल इट, बट यही डिफरेंस है। आप देखो इसमें आई वुड हैव अटेम्प्टेड मैथ्स एज वेल, मतलब द ऑर्डर आई वुड हैव केप्ट इज लॉजिकल, देन मे बी जीके, देन एंड नॉट, व्हाई नॉट जीके फर्स्ट, क्योंकि जीके में अगर कुछ क्वेश्चन मेरे को नहीं आते तो उसमें मेरा कॉन्फिडेंस डाउन हो सकता है, विच इज नॉट समथिंग आई कैन अफोर्ड। सो जीके में सेकंड करूंगा, फिर आई गो टू इंग्लिश, फिर आई मे बी गो टू मैथ्स का एक सेट, देन आई वुड गो, ताकि मेरा माइंड थोड़ा वो हो जाए, एंड देन गो टू लीगल। लीगल के बीच में भी एक मैथ्स कर लूँ, ताकि मैथ्स खत्म हो गया एक बार अच्छे से, और अब मेरे को मतलब या तो एक सेट कर लूँ या 2 सेट कर लूँ मैथ्स के, कि बेसिकली मैथ्स बीच में खत्म करके आधी लीगल, की बहुत लेंदी लीगल है। देन आई गो बैक टू लीगल एंड जस्ट फाइंड दोज क्वेश्चंस जिसमें, अब क्योंकि अब मेरे पास बहुत कम टाइम बचा होगा, मे बी सम 20 या मिनट्स कुछ, और लॉट ऑफ लीगल पैसेजेस शुड बी लेफ्ट, क्योंकि बहुत लेंदी है। तो आई वुड हैव जस्ट बिन लाइक कि अब जितने ज्यादा क्वेश्चंस करेक्ट कर सकता हूँ वो करना है। सो इन सब में जेन्युइनली ऐसे पेपर्स में ये, लाइक दिस इज अ पेपर दैट शुड कम आइडली, मतलब क्योंकि दिस इज वेयर अ पर्सन हु हैज वर्कड हार्ड कैन शो देयर मेटल। अ पर्सन हु हैज वर्कड हार्ड इज स्मार्ट, दे विल बी एट अ स्कोर ऑफ 80 90, while a person who has not will be at 40 50. So this shows कि बहुत रैंक में डिफरेंशिएशन होगा। So yes, guys, that's like ideally how a paper should be. But if you have any questions specific to this paper or anything, now the floor is open to you guys. Like ask the questions if you have any. And also इसमें जीके वगैरह इजी थी, तो जीके पे, और मैथ्स भी इजी था, तो that is where you score more, right? So yeah. But yes, any questions, anyone? Anyone related to anything? If you have any questions. Okay. ठीक है. But anything like you want to say before we end the session?
Bhaiya, actually, I got a lot of questions in the first passage of legal wrong.
Hmm.
And I read the whole passage. I don't know why, but I did. Like, not the whole in with focus, but yeah, I did read it. And I did think that my answers would have been right, but then I got, I think, two or three. I got three wrong in it.
Hmm. So पहले तो see,
So
a smarter way is to not go after this, क्योंकि compassionate appointment scheme is something which we also learn in like third fourth year. तो मतलब नॉट, ये थोड़ा क्वेश्चन ऐसा है जो थोड़ा स्किप करने वाला है, जो मैं बोल रहा था ना लास्ट के 20 मिनट तो मैं एक दो, मतलब जितना ज़्यादा ठीक कर पाओ वो करना होता है, तो उसमें वैसा टाइप है ये थोड़ा, बट स्टिल मेक सेंस। तो मतलब
I
आइडियली पूरा
did do this
हम्म
at last, but
हम्म
I did do the Hindu Marriage Act before and all of that, but then
हम्म।
I did this, and I did have like I think 10 minutes, so
ठीक
I
है,
did
then
this
that's a
passage.
smart choice to make. But if you have any like anything specific to this, okay, but
I
yeah,
don't know why I got a 54th wrong, so
okay,
can we go with that one?
okay, sure. Let me just give me a minute. I'll just go through the question as well. पहले 54th, right? This one, नेहा वाला ना?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, नेहा, this. Okay, I'll actually read it ताकि After we and so yes, what happens in this question is basically that there's a girl whose mother is a government school teacher, and essentially like she dies. So in 2019 she died during services. In 2020 she applied for the appointment. In 2024, 4 years after, the government says no, क्योंकि 5% ceiling के under है, and her to apply again in the next recruitment cycle. However, the scheme's true state dependent must be appointed with the ceiling at the earliest opportunity, and vacancy shortage should not be used as a permanent bar. So yes, the question is, yeah, like what do you go with? And hmm. So the passage in general, guys, talks about like compensatory appointment scheme. That is basically that if someone in your family is in a government service job, and like they die, and then essentially you can take their position. Um, but yes. Hmm. So Mhm. like the whole idea is कि इसमें the main thing is कि this extra thing is given. However, the scheme rules stated that the dependent must be appointed within the ceiling at the earliest opportunity, and vacancy shortages could not be used as a permanent bar. So, Neha challenges this. ठीक है. Options Neha's claim fails because the employer's vacancy limit is an absolute bar. Obviously not. Neha's claim succeeds because the rejection based on vacancy shortages. Yes, B seems fine. C. Neha's claim fails because the compassionate appointment cannot override administrative inconvenience. Um, the passage says something against the option C. कि basically it's like a good thing, and मतलब you need to appoint, मतलब administrative inconvenience cannot be a reason. So C भी नहीं होना चाहिए. Neha's claim succeeds only if she proves the vacancy shortage was artificially created to deny her claim. I guess option B is like the best answer here. What did you mark, Dishita?
I actually marked D. I don't know why exactly because I wasn't thinking much at that point of time.
No, not an issue. That makes sense. I would see कि why someone can go with option D, but it's like extreme only if there can be other scenarios only. ये जरूरी नहीं है कि आपको एक माला फाइट दिखाना ही पड़ेगा. It can also be कि they are going after administrative convenience only. They like because option D says कि यार माला फाइट कि basically मेरे को ना बनने दे इसलिए इन्होंने ये सब करा है. मे बी नॉट, क्योंकि मे बी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव कन्वीनियंस के लिए भी पोस्ट नहीं चाहिए, तो इट्स नॉट अगेंस्ट मी. But still, that in itself can be a sufficient ground because that is the whole idea of the passage. कि administrative convenience cannot trump like the compensatory aspect of compensation जो भी है scheme. Right. So option B seems like the more correct one. So yeah. Did you get it, Dishita? Like by तो देखो
Yeah,
इसमें भी एलिमिनेशन से आ सकता है आंसर, इतना कुछ मतलब ऐसे वो नहीं है डिफिकल्ट.
in
यस.
this mock, I didn't like basically think about in that way that I don't have to choose the extremes, and that's why my accuracy was very low also.
But yes, Dishita, this is the strongest tool in your toolkit in exam, eliminating
Yeah,
strong options and having the ability, sorry, extreme options and having the ability to identify them. So it's
I'll
you have to be
focus
very
on this
vigilant.
now.
Yes, no worry. That is what these sessions are for, just to understand कि कहाँ you guys can lack and mess up, right? So just be careful about that. Make sense, Dishita?
Yes, Bhaiya.
Perfect. Okay, guys, I guess we can end the session if you guys have no other questions.
But yeah, I had one more
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
Uh, like, how in these kind of mocks we should go with legal? क्योंकि जैसे लॉजिकल इंग्लिश तो तब भी कुछ एक पार्ट पढ़ लिया तो मेजर क्वेश्चन सॉल्व हो जाते हैं, एलिमिनेशन
Hmm.
टोन जैसी टेक्निक्स लगा सकते हैं. लेकिन लीगल में वो रहता है कि वो हर जगह कनेक्ट हो रहा होता है पूरे पैसेज में, तो वो वाला फैक्टर रहता है कि आप थोड़ा बहुत हर चीज पढ़ लेनी होती है. सो हाउ
Hmm.
शुड वी गो फॉर कि बहुत लेंदी अगर कोई पैसेज आ गया तो कैसे?
ये देखो जैसे ये जो ऑप्शन था ये तो थोड़ा इंग्लिश लॉजिकल वाले वे से सॉल्व हो रहा था, राइट? बट एसेंशली हाँ दैट मेक सेंस, पर इसमें आपको थोड़ा स्पेसिफिक होना पड़ता है। इवन संध्या, इवन इन लीगल पैसेज देयर वुड बी एट मैक्स 30% ऑफ द पैसेज विच इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट। अब आर्टिकल 16(1), हाँ ठीक है, पता है, इट टॉक्स अबाउट इक्वालिटी ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी, ये सब, ये थोड़ा ज्यादा इतना इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट नहीं है, राइट। टॉकिंग अबाउट सम केसेस, मतलब इसमें जो मेन रेशियो है वो बस कर लो, राइट, कि हाँ held that compassionate appointment is not a legitimate expectation in the contractual sense, but a discretionary relief intended over economic adversity by an unfortunate death, right? Insisted on maintaining temporal between the death and the employee, सब कुछ. The whole idea is that they have a lot of judgments which are repeating the same thing. Even if you go through this passage, you will see that a lot is being repeated. So you just don't read and focus much on the repeated part. You just focus on the newer part. So that's the way to go about it. Make sense?
Yes, भैया.
And this is like something where you just skim. That's it. And remember कि हर passage में it's 20% or 30% which matters. Rest is not that great important. And I just need to focus a lot on this 20-30% in such papers, right? Not in, अगर small paper हो तो focus on everything. But अगर ऐसा paper आए तो क्या करना है? So yes, make sense?
Yes, भैया. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, guys. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let's end the session. Thank you everyone for joining and also the ones who joined on YouTube. So yeah, thank you. And yes, Vinda, you can say that. Just give me a minute.